Hey there. I just came back. I had to take a phone call. So I ended my live stream. Instead of what would I have done instead of ending the live stream? Would I have just hit mute and taken my call and just sat here yakking on the phone? La da 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 da. Let all the lip readers see what I was saying, which oh guy, don't look at that. Ooh. Okay. Anyway. Hey, I'm live. I'm also probably going to be putting videos on my channel while we're chatting. I like to try to keep my putting new videos up between 9 p.m. and midnight, generally, is when I do it. And that seems to work out best for me. Let me see what I've got going on. I've got, I have both my phone and that going on. Let me see. Go back. Let's see. To my channel. No, come on now. My channel. Ooh, that's not a good picture to have on there. My live feed doesn't have a very good picture on it, but I'm going to click on it. There we go. Turn down the volume. Nobody here. Okay, well, that answered one question I had because generally when I go live, I can see that there's one person in my live. But I always assumed that I was the person. I always assumed that was me, but now I saw there were 0 people in the live, which means there were none. Now there's one in here. Hello, whoever you are. Welcome to my live. It is 10:34 p.m. on Thursday, and I'm just kind of doing a test. I usually do my lives during the day, but I'm going to try to do a live at night and see if I get any more viewers. But I'm going to tell the story about the time a scammer called me, and I replied to him with a huge, huge lie that made him go completely off script, and it actually wrecked him for a few minutes. 2 people in here. Cool. Let me know where you are. I am in Tennessee. Go ahead and tell me where you are. There are 2 of you in here. That's cool. So, my mother, unfortunately, has fallen for scammers a few times. They used to call your house and say, I'm from Microsoft and your Windows are corrupted and I need into your computer so that I can help you fix it. And for those of you who fell for it, I'm sorry. All they do is they go into your computer and they maybe put in spyware and then they charge you for it, hundreds of dollars. And it's a complete and total scam. Well, I didn't fall for it. I knew exactly why this guy was calling me. And I don't have Windows because I have an Apple computer. I don't have Microsoft. So that's true. Hey Cesar, good to see you. Oh, you're going to enjoy my story. You're going to like it because I lied to the liar. But a little bit of backstory, first of all. I taught theater arts for 11 years ish. I taught thousands of students in 2 different counties, theater arts, drama. I taught middle school and high school improvisation, and I taught an adult improvisation class at a studio for, well, I only did 1 session. It was 8 classes, but that was for adults. We did improvisation. It was called Knockoff Improv, and we had a blast. Most of the time I was teaching in theater arts was kindergarten through 6th grade, and I don't remember if we did improvisation with the kindergartners. I think we were mostly just trying to keep them fully dressed and not sticking their finger in somebody else's nose, if you know what I mean. If you know kindergartners, you know what I'm talking about. So I do have a background in improv. And sometimes my brain just kicks in and it can be kind of sarcastic and snarky, but it's fun. I love improv. So when this guy called me, unfortunately for him, I went directly into improv mode and I had a blast at his expense. I was not home alone. My husband was home. It was evening. So my mom had already fallen for these people at least 3 times that she told me about, and she felt horrible. But these guys are professionals, right? They have a script when they call you, and their goal, of course, is to get you to trust them. They are from Microsoft. Well, I don't have to worry about falling for their tricks because I don't have a PC. I have an Apple. So I wasn't even concerned about it. I was like, I don't have a PC, so whatever. Anyway, the guy called me. It was evening because my husband was there. My hair, it's everywhere. Ugh. My husband was there, so it was evening. It was after the evening chores were done. He was sitting to my left in his recliner. I was sitting at the edge of the couch. There was only a small table between us, and we were just sitting there relaxing. I don't know what we were doing. I don't know if the TV was on. All I know is I took a call. He probably had the TV on and just muted it when the call came through. So as soon as the guy called and said what he said, I'm so and so with an either Indian or Pakistani accent. I'm not sure. He didn't say anything. I mean, I said hello. I didn't know who was calling me. I said hello. And he just went into his spiel. He just wanted to go right through his script. So I let him say all of the things he was going to say. And then I said, "Hi, how are you?" And he stopped and he said, "Oh, hi, I'm fine. How are you?" And that's when the improv kicked in because I didn't know what I was going to say until he said, "How are you?" I remember the day it was. It was February 15th. And if you're aware of American culture, and probably in other parts of the world, February 14th is Valentine's Day. Celebration of love, right? So this guy calls me the evening of February 15th, and he says, after I stopped him in his rudeness, hello, you call someone, you don't even say, "Hi, how are you?" And I was very pleasant. And he says, "How are you?" And the improv that came out of my mouth was not anything I had been thinking about. I said, "Well, I'm exhausted. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. And I am so exhausted. You see, I'm a prostitute and I had 3 dates yesterday. I am so tired." Well, to the 3 of you watching, he lost it. Oh! Now I don't know, I don't remember it all because it's been a few years now. I've had this computer for a long time. It's really old. It's too old for a lot of the modern programs. Anyway, he went off script. He spent the next probably 10 minutes trying to talk me into letting him join my Facebook as a friend so he could, in his quote, "see all of you." I said, "Oh, honey, it costs money to be a friend of mine on Facebook. I do not give that away." "Oh, I have money. I have money." I said, "No, no, 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 no. Not Indian or Pakistani money. I'm talking US dollars. Men pay thousands of dollars to be my friend on Facebook. You can't afford me." "Oh, yes, yes, I have money. I have money." Now, the word The worst part about it, I think, is I didn't take advantage of that. I should have let me Cash App wasn't even a thing yet. I think they were still shoot, man, I don't think there's any way I could have ripped him off. I was thinking it would have been really cool to say, "Well, if you send me 2,000 US dollars to my Cash App, I will send you a friend request on Facebook." And then I just would have found his profile and blocked him anyway. So I lied to a scammer. I don't think it's that bad. If you're in here and you're watching this, even if you're on the replay, if you have a time when you lied to a scammer, I mean, this guy was beside himself trying to get access to my pictures, which he would have been very disappointed to see. I mean, what did I have on my computer back then on my Facebook? Well, I wouldn't have first of all, I never would have let him be a friend, but I had pictures of my family. I don't think I had any food pictures, animals, videos of animals being born. So that was a big part of my life. Videos of eggs hatching and I don't know, headshots, pictures of me on set. Not a whole lot of fun stuff. Some of the pictures might have been fun. I did play a pretty woohoo spicy character in one movie. Might have enjoyed those pictures, but I was fully clothed. My character was spicy, but she was also fully clothed. So, anyway, that was my time lying to a liar. Not the only time I lied to a liar. I got another call, and this would have been the second time it happened. And it really wasn't improv. I just kind of played along with it. But the guy called me again, Pakistan, India. I'm not sure. That was the accent. That general area was the accent that I heard. And I'm no linguistic specialist. I really don't know. But same spiel. Your windows are corrupted. I need to help you. You need to pay money and I'll help you, get everything back together. And how did that one go? Oh, my father-in-law was there. He was actually living with us at the time. He had been he lived about 3 hours away from us, depending on how you drive, 2.5 to 3 hours away from us, and we got a call. He had been found in the street one morning. Somebody was on their way to work. I don't know if it was a man or a woman, and he was either sitting in the street or lying in the street. I think he was sitting up, but he had fallen down when he went out to get his newspaper, I think, and somebody driving by stopped, called their spouse, and said, "Hey, you need to come down here," because this person had to go to work. So the spouse probably got out of their bathrobe real quick, put on a hat, and headed down the street and sat with him and helped him up. And I don't know if they called like 911 or what, but it turned out that he needed to come live with us because when he was at the hospital, they they discovered that he had well, they didn't know what he had at the hospital. My husband went and got him, brought him to us. He was living with us. Turns out he had Parkinson's and lymphoma. And took us a long time to get a diagnosis, but I'm talking a couple of months maybe. But it was good that he was with us because my husband was able to take care of all of his treatment. And he's fine. He's 93. He just had a birthday not too long ago. Anyway, he was living with us. He was confused. He also had dementia. He was very confused. So the guy calls me. I was sitting at my table, at the kitchen table, and I don't remember. I was probably on my computer because I was doing a lot of stock photography. So I was probably editing photos. I have a couple of stock photography portfolios out there floating around in the internet somewhere. Every now and then I get a check. And I was probably editing photos or videos because I spent a lot of my evening time doing that. And also, I used to create designs for clothing and hats and things like that. I did a lot of work on the computer. So I was sitting at the table on my computer. I get this phone call. I answer it. He says, "Oh, your Windows is corrupted. You need to let me take care of it. My name is whatever." And I said, "Wait a minute." Now, my husband and his dad are to my left. If you're looking at to my left in the kitchen. And I said, "Wait a minute." Has my husband been watching porn on my computer again? Now, my husband knows to laugh because he knows this is not true. But my father in law, he didn't really understand computers, but he understood me screaming in my phone, has my husband been watching porn on my computer again? So I come completely unglued at this guy on the phone. You'd better tell me if he's been doing that. I told him I was going to divorce him if he ever did that again. You'd better tell me, has he? And the guy's trying to get back on script. He's trying to reel me in. I'm not having it. I'm ticked off. So yeah, that was a fun one too. But my poor father-in-law, and I looked over at my husband. I'm trying not to break character. I need to still sound mad, right? But I can anyway. I look over at my husband and is trying to tell his dad, who is also mostly deaf, okay? It's okay, dad. She's just kidding. But he was like, "Oh my gosh, are you in trouble?" No. No. Uh, I had a really good time with that one. That was a very good that was a good one. I got to really scream, and I don't remember how that one ended, but yeah, I think at the end, I probably told him I was gonna file for divorce. Thank you so much for calling me and telling me I'm gonna file for divorce. Anyway, it was hilarious. I had a good time. My father-in-law probably almost had a heart attack. Thankfully, that's not one of his problems. He has a very strong heart. My husband, he was having a good time. Okay, before you say anything sarcastic about him doing watching porn on my computer, he doesn't know my login password. So he's not doing that. Plus, you're not looking at porn on the computer. I think I would know. I think I would know. Anyway, that's my fun with scammers. I haven't had that call in a long time. I don't know if they're still doing it. We're in 2025 now. That was kind of a 2020 thing, right? 2019, 2018. Oh, they tricked my mom 3 times. They used to call my father-in-law. Now he didn't have a computer. This is when he lived alone. He was in his 80s, early 80s, I think, at the time when they were doing this, maybe mid 80s. They would call him. And this one lady called him. They know. They know exactly what they're doing. They know how old he was. They probably knew that he lived alone. They assumed he had dementia most likely, and they sent a woman to him because a woman could talk real sweet to him and talk him into anything because that's what worked on my grandpa. Oh, God, my grandpa used to buy all his crappy jewelry and little tiny appliances and stuff because these sweet ladies would call him and say, "Oh, Bill, how are you? I haven't talked to you in a while. You know what? We have this lovely ring your wife is going to love." And it was just the cheapest crap. Oh my gosh, he had boxes and boxes and boxes of that stuff. But there was always a woman who called. So a woman would call my father-in-law. And he said, I don't have a computer. And she would say, Oh, but your computer is corrupted. You need to let me get into your computer. I don't have a computer. I've never had a computer. So she got so mad at him. She started calling him at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning and waking him up on purpose to yell at him for not letting her fix his computer. He was an 80 something year old man living alone, and he would unplug his phone at night because they were waking him up at all hours of the night to harass him for not letting them fix his computer. A computer he did not own. So that's my last story about that one. Good grief, those people were awful. So he came to live with us. He lived with us for a few years. This is when we were still in California. And then he went to an assisted living facility because he wanted to live alone. He didn't want to live with us anymore. He wanted to live alone and he wanted to live closer to his other house over on the coast where he had lived forever since 1971, I think. So, and he still had a sister over there. So his sister helped him find a place to move to. He moved to a beautiful assisted living facility. He was a very high level of care at the assisted living. They have different levels. They start out with no level of care, but all of your meals are provided, and they do have a nurse on staff. So if you need someone to come look at your ear in the middle of the night, they'll come take a look at it. My mom is in a place like that right now. She has zero level of care, but if she needs something, they handle it. She gets her 3 meals a day. If she is sick, and she has been sick, they will bring her food to her room so that she doesn't starve in her room. That's nice. And they do have the nurse come check on her. I don't know how often. I don't think it happens very often, because they would have to raise her level of care. But if she's really sick, they will evaluate her to see if they need to call for an ambulance or call me to come and take her to an urgent care or something like that. Anyway, he lived at that assisted living place for a long time, for several years. Let me think, about 3.5 years. And he finally was at the point where they couldn't take care of him anymore. He needed memory care. So we decided to move him out close to us. And he lives about 5 minutes away from us. It's real easy for us to go there. And he's acclimated to it. Took him a little while to get used to it. He still sometimes wants to go home. And my husband just tells him, "Well, Dad, this is where you're staying right now." And he kind of calms down and he's okay with that. But he's 93. My mom's 83. She lives, oh gosh, takes me about 10 minutes to get to her, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 12 minutes to get over to her place if I hit all the lights right. And takes me about 5 minutes to get to his place. So they're both really close, and that's good. That's good for us. My husband is an only child, so he's the only one that can take care of his dad. And I do have a brother, but my brother's not been as involved in my mom's life. Well, I wasn't for a long time either. But she decided to move out here to be closer to us because she knew she was going to need some help. And she was not wrong. She does need help. I think she appreciates where she is. She doesn't have to cook. That's perfect. She doesn't have to pay bills. I mean, she pays her bill once a month, obviously, and she does pay some of her bills. She does have certain bills, but she doesn't have to worry about getting the trash out to the curb, which actually I was doing for a long time. And she doesn't have to worry about a lot of stuff. If there's a snowstorm, she doesn't have to worry about the power going out because they have generators. So yeah, it's good. It's a good place for her. And my father-in-law in memory care is perfect for him because he needed a higher level of care, and that's the only option. Or coming to live with us, which I don't think he would be real happy here. We do a lot. We're pretty active. Well, I take naps every day. I take a lot of naps. But my husband does a lot. He and I would probably just be snoozing. We'd have to get another couch for the living room, and he and I would probably just snooze all day. We would just be like, the TV would be on some Western channels, 1970s Westerns, and yeah, we'd be watching, I don't even know the names, Bonanza and I don't know, The Wild Wild West, whatever. That would be funny. But he doesn't live with us, at least not right now. He did for a while, like I said, for a couple of years. He lived with us. It was nice. We also had my granddaughter living. Well, I'm sorry, my granddaughter. I babysat, so she would come spend the day with me when my daughter was working. And so the two of them would go down with banana peels every morning and feed the goats. And that was kind of one of their chores. They would walk down there. Sometimes both of them were in their pajamas, and they would take a couple of banana peels down and feed the goats the banana peels. That was fun. So, hey guys, Caesar, thank you so much for being here. There are 4 of you in here. I am going to cut this off now. I told the story about lying to a liar, who was actually a scammer. And then I told the story about the scammer who I screamed at, demanding that he tell me if my husband had been watching porn on my computer. And then I told you a little bit about my father-in-law and my mom. And I think that's it. So you guys have a wonderful night if it's nighttime where you are. And I will see you in the next live stream. Bye-bye.